halftime show. And at this point, it was just, if I want to be 100% truthful, the key thing that made me make the decision was the journey. I just felt like, man, this is an exciting new journey I'm about to go on. And I remember, calling my mom and say, hey, mommy, I'm a musician now. My mom was like, Jesus. You've gone from studying mechanic. First, you said you wanted to be a pilot. Then you said, okay, you go study, because my dad is a pilot. So you say, okay, you go study engineering first. You're supposed to study aerospace engineering. You go on to do mechanical engineering. From mechanical engineering, you go on to do a master's in engineering business management. And from there, we think you're going to do something next. You go on and you start importing, because I had started to import Lacasera, which is a fizzy drink, Lacasera and Gala into Ghana, Kumasi and the northern region. And so from there, they suddenly see that I'm into small scale gold mining. And the next minute they see I'm back in Nigeria selling phones. And they're like, now you're selling phones and this business is starting to look like it's gonna be something, and you're just suddenly saying, hey, I wanna go be a musician. So it's like, but I must say big up my family. I remember my dad just saying, okay, you know what, whatever you're doing, I give you till April to experiment. And so for me, it was, I always felt, and I still feel I'm on a journey. I still feel everything. And when I look back, I see how everything led to the point of me deciding to be a musician. And so at that point, I'm just like, this is, I just knew it. Of course, there was data to show, but at that point, there's something within you that just says, yo. And I think sometimes our spirit speaks to us, but we don't listen, or we just think it's too crazy to be, we just,
Let's
yeah,
talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, sometimes your spirit is telling you, like, sometimes you're friends with somebody and the friendship is so good, but something is, you can't place your hand on it. Something is just telling you, nah, this person is bad vibes, and you don't know, and the person is all good vibes, or you just see yourself, you're just not 100% trust in the person. And so, it's your spirit speaking to you. And sometimes you might have to, the person might have to fuck you up for you to realize that, oh fuck, this is why. Or the person steal your husband or your wife, and you be like, oh.
You actually have to see it happen to you. But
Yeah,
you
so
see,
for me,
what I'm realizing is that, so I've been listening to this ebook during
yeah.
quarantine, called Self-Reliance by Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Oh,
And the
you
first
need,
time I
I
heard
need to go
about
read it.
Listen, the first time I heard about it was like in high school. We had to like do literature. I went to high school in the States, and so we had to do American literature.
Yeah.
And, just a few weeks ago, I was like, self-reliance, self-reliance. I feel like I read that in high school, but I don't think I really understood what he meant. So I went and I got it off of Audible.
Yeah.
I was listening to it, and there's a quotation in there that really stuck with me. He said, and mind you, this is written in like the 1880s,
Yeah.
and he said, we are conditioned to disregard our thoughts simply because they are ours.
Mm.
You know what I mean? We're like conditioned to sort of constantly question our own personal inspiration and like question what our soul says to us more than question what other people say to us. So we are conditioned to ignore our inner voice and always receive outer voices and outer inspiration. And I think that's very, I think anybody who's done anything worthwhile on this earth that we talk about, honestly, has listened to their inner voice.
Yeah. No, you just have to, at this junction, I just saw General Pipe tuned in, and I just want to big up General Pipe. This is one of like the musicians in the early days. When I mean the early days, like before I had decided to do music, I would just watch him. So shout out, he just joined the live, so shout out to him. But back to what you were saying, is that the truth is we don't like to listen to ourselves, in as much as we say we're listening to ourselves, what your gut is saying. But life helps us by putting pointers around us. So the moment you decide that, hey, I want to start listening to myself, is the moment you will start to see the pointer. Like you start in a relationship, you start to see that, hey, you know, your heart must have told you, oh, this person is not good news. And then by the time you start listening to your heart, you'd see that, oh, the other day he told me he was going to church, but I ended up seeing him in Bloomberg. And so, but you didn't think about it so much. And the next time you say, oh, I remember he said his mom was calling him. I hope I'm not shooting shots. He said his mom was calling him, and by the time he came back inside, he said it was his friend. And so, you know, you start to see the pointers when you start to listen to the voice of your heart. So at that point, I just knew this was the next journey. This was the next journey for me to do music. And I didn't look back. I just like, pa, that's it, done. Let's go.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible. But, you know, so would you say that self-trust is probably your number one, like, you know,
I'd
because,
say
you know, honestly, I always feel like when we ask about people's success story, we want to know, oh, who did you meet? What did you do? Where did you go? But I don't think people understand how much of an internal process is necessary to success. Like,
I think I think it's not every time. Wait, I see who's that? Magnum. Very nicely, you make man see be possible. Now, shout out to Magnum Beats who just tuned in. I feel like that's definitely one of the strongest things that God has blessed me with. You know, the because sometimes I want to do something and it's you know, it seems crazy even to everybody around me, even to my team. And then even years later I still think it was crazy, and only now am I seeing the reason why I was doing those things. And case in point, let me give you a typical example. You know, I decided to do music full time in 2016, and then you know, I'm always impressed to, you know, to reinvest in myself. I'm always impressed to, like, I went on tour with J Balvin, who sings, you know, in Spanish, and it felt
wow.
like there was no corroboration, but that was what my heart told me to do. And at the time I was doing the tour, I wasn't making money. Like I could be making money doing shows in any other place, but here I
Right.
was opening for this artist all in America and singing. Like I'd never opened for anybody in that regard. Like,
Wow.
you know, me opening for people who have never heard my name, they don't know my songs, and they're just looking at me. I don't even have the best light or the best sound, and I'm just there. And I was wondering, why am I even doing all of this? But something in me, like, I just felt this was the right thing for me to do at the time. And now, only how many months later, I'm realizing that, geez, it was really part of. I needed to do that because it will lead me to the next phase of my career. And now I have two songs with J Balvin. I'm on the Latin charts. I have new
Look at
fans
that.
from um, from Colombia, from Chile, from Mexico, from Spain, and it's only now I'm seeing how that is, of what effect that is to my career. And you know, so sometimes you just have to just go and just do what your heart tells you to do, you know. And if
So
you
I
have,
just,
yeah,
sorry, I wanted us to take a few questions to make it this
yeah,
interactive.
all right,
But somebody asked, you know, what the driving force was for you to go to music full time, and I think you already answered that, which is basically that you felt, you know, you trusted yourself, you felt like it, and so you made that decision. And the good thing
yeah,
is you had supportive family who were like, okay, whatever it is you want to do, we give
yeah,
you X amount of months, get it done or not.
yeah,
Um, Somebody also said Lord Fuqua said your talent will take you places, and I'm guessing he's saying your talent, Eazi specifically, would take you places. But I want to talk about that broadly, because is it really talent that takes people far?
I think what I think it's two-sided. First of all, there's a verse. I'm not a pastor, right? But I went to a lot of Sunday school. Mommy made me go to a lot of Sunday school. And there's one memory, that time we'll do memory verse and you have to learn it. And when you go home, they say, "What's your memory verse?" And you have to recite it. And one of my
it's like the fruits of the. I still say the fruits of the spirit according to the song I learned in Sunday school.
And one of my favorite memory verse is, "Show me a man who's diligent in his ways. He would serve before kings and not mere men." And for me, I didn't understand when I was learning all of that. But now when I think about it, it just shows whatever it is you're doing, whether you are, whatever it is you're doing in this world, if you're diligent and you're constantly trying to be a better version of who you were yesterday at doing that one thing, it would open all the doors for you. And when it does open the doors, so if you have talent and you're diligent with your talent, it will open the doors for you. And when the doors open, it's now left, your talent can keep you, your talent brings you to the door, and then you then have to put in some more work beyond talent.
You gotta work hard with
to walk into the room and to walk into the room and to I remember. So I think talent would open the door for you, but you might need more than talent to walk into the room and take advantage. But for
sit
some
at the table,
for some people, and maybe you need to meet other people to help you with team. You need to meet that producer who would help you create a sound. Shout out to Jules. I remember Jules reaching out to me, and
shout out to Jules.
But talent is definitely, whatever your talent is, whatever it is you're doing, it doesn't even have to be talent. Like recently with this lockdown, I've been seeing that thing with the Ghanaian forebearers who are carrying the casket.
Yeah, that whole thing that's like gone viral.
Yeah, so just imagine those guys are they're just carrying a casket. That's their job, right? The undertakers, I don't know what they call that profession, but they're basically, that's their job.
Professional pallbearers,
Yes, but they do it so well and add so much flavor to it, and you can see how they enjoy it. And now in this lockdown and COVID, it's just gone viral. Like, I was listening to it the other day. I wanted to even send it to Guilty and say, "Guilty, put some beat on it. Let me let me just do something." Shout out to Who Is Mojit. So whatever it is you're doing, if you continue and continue and continue at it, someday you're gonna find your tribe. Someday you're gonna find some people who like it and who will share it with a friend. Whatever it is, whether it's you're making hair or it's makeup or it's like, it doesn't even have to be music. It's anything.
And it doesn't matter how small where you think comes from. And I think in Ghana, I hear from a lot of creatives that say, Ghana is such a small place. And, one, we have a very great creative, a creative space. I feel like when I connect with Ghanaian creatives, I'm always so impressive. Yeah. But sometimes people say, Ghana's too small to really make it big. And I'm like, well, there's 7 billion people on this planet, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to find your tribe somewhere. And the beautiful thing about the internet is that it gives us that, gateway into a lot of other spaces. I mean, even on this live alone, I've seen people checking from Czech Republic, Albania, all sorts of places. And so you will find your tribe. You just keep going. So I'm going to take a couple more questions. I'm going to see a couple more questions. I can't see the full
First
question.
of all, you're so beautiful, and this has been so inspirational. But my question is,
I can't see the full question.
Yeah, it's not showing, so maybe we have to move to the next one.
He said, my question is for Tosin, parentheses, Mr. Eazi. Unfortunately, I can't see the full question, and so unfortunately I can't read it. Or maybe, does anybody know how to scroll through questions, please? I think I'm a little illiterate. I'm a little Instagram illiterate. Okay,
Yeah, I
I'll have,
can't. Yeah,
unfortunately, I have
that's
to go
fun.
to
Yeah.
another question. Hold on. Okay. Oh, people want to know. I know that we wanted to sort of stay clear of, too much about the music, but
Yeah.
what's the origin of Zagadat? A lot of people have
That
been
I think
asking.
Zagadat was okay. So first, the first person I heard Zaga Zaga Zalad was from Beanie Man on a song
Yeah, I
on a
remember that.
song on a song with Two Face. And so, and the Lord said, "Let there be light, open the clouds and let the sun shine." That's the first time I heard, Zaga Zaga Za. That was it. And then when I was recording Bankulais was originally a 15 minutes freestyle. And somewhere in there, I was just like, Zagadat, it's your boy, Zagadat. And then Kwame Keys just bring
I went off for a
positive
little
vibe.
bit because, okay, so the 6 or 7, who's my good friend, shout out to Dio, checking in all the way from Houston. Did you move, girl? You said you were leaving New York. But anyway, she said, when you get this motivation back.
So, I think for me, like that happens, might not even believe it, but for me, it happens a lot. Like, for me, it happens a lot, like a lot of times. Trying to do something and I didn't do it, or I put out the song and it didn't do as well as I thought it would go.
Yeah.
But what I do is the big picture. Man, like Ninja, I just look at the big picture. A lot of times when I get discouraged, I look at the big picture and then I look back. I look back and say, hey, look at where I've come. Like, this is not fluke. For me to, I remember first recording in Kumasi, um, uh, the back of tech. I've forgotten what they call that. Maybe it's not Einstein. Is it Einstein? The back of tech. So I remember like recording there, and then I see. So at times when I feel I feel down or discouraged, I just pause and look back, or I go back to like my first videos and I watch. Like there's this video, if you go look, it's called and I look at PP dance video, or there's a song, Stage A, Baby Lace, and if you see how I'm just hopping around on that video, and so when I look back and see that, hey, I'm not where I was yesterday, it just gives me more vim, and I never thought I would be here. And I knew I'll be successful. I've always wanted to be successful in anything I do, but I didn't know I would get to this point right now speaking to you. So the fact that I'm
Yeah.
at this point right now speaking to you, which is not where I was yesterday. I wasn't here speaking to you like this 2 minutes ago, but now, so I'm obviously not where I was yesterday. And I just look for the littlest sign of growth, and that just motivates me um to get to the next level. So yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's so dope. And I think that the thing with this success thing is that you don't really know. You just know that I have something in my heart and I want to put it out there and I want to meet people who connect with me and
Yeah.
connect with, the thing that I believe I've been called to. But
Yeah.
you don't really know that you're going to make it, right? Like
Yeah.
you kind of envision yourself making it. But
Yeah.
And making it might change, right? What making it looks like a year
Exactly.
ago, what making like
What happened?
sorry, it's like when someone you get a phone call, I need to like
Okay,
let all my
okay,
people
okay,
know
okay.
not to call me.
Yeah.
Um,
You were saying how making it can change. It keeps on
yeah, and like the
changing.
definition of making it literally
Yeah.
changes across the entire spectrum.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Where it's kind of like that's why it has to be something bigger, right? If it's only about money,
Yeah.
trust me, you get to a place. What now?
Yeah.
It always has to be bigger. There always has to be something bigger than sort of a destination. And like you said, it's more the journey than the destination. So I want to bring us back today, which is supposed to be the gifts of isolation, of the gifts
Yeah.
of quarantine. What would you say, like, what are the like that are coming out of having to like literally being forced to sit down somewhere?
I think the first thing really is the first thing is, in the grand scheme of things in this world, what you're doing in the whole grand scheme of things, like
Mm-hmm.
what you're doing right now in comparison with the whole grand scheme of things is nothing.
Right.
And so I've people not directly through me, or maybe one relationship away, some people very close to me have lost people to the virus. And it's just like more giving me a sense of,
Mm-hmm.
how, like, before the virus I thought, oh yeah, I need to do this thing tomorrow. If I don't do this thing tomorrow, it's like the end of the world. And this is this. Nah, bro. Like, we just have to pace and just live life. Yeah, it's good to have like goals and set goals, but you obviously have to not be too. The first lesson is you have to don't be too focused on the future that you don't get to enjoy the present, and you don't get to
Yeah.
appreciate the present, and that's what's been happening. Like, for instance, say, because I want let's say I want I let me give you a typical example, and that's what I love. Like, and this first time I'm sharing this example, like the first time I heard of Coachella, I was like, oh, this is a good festival. I didn't think I was gonna ever be on Coachella anytime soon. And then Wizkid, they announced Wizkid was gonna be on Coachella. And so the dream was it was like more close to home, right? And I was like, wow, Wizkid is on Coachella. Someday I would like to be on Coachella. I think I was even gonna reach out to him and say, hey, Wiz, I want to follow you to Coachella. And then next thing, they contacted me and it's like, hey, Eazi, we want you on Coachella. And I was like, wow, so I'm going to be on Coachella. And I remember hosting the co-founder of Coachella, Paul Toulette. We were together in Nigeria. I was taking him
Mm-hmm.
around. When was Coachella? 2019. So in 2018 of December, I was with Paul Toulette. We were in Nigeria. I took him to my home, like where I grew up. I took him to my mom's house. I took him to my church. And so I was looking forward to this Coachella, like, hey, yeah, I'm looking forward to Coachella. And once got on stage on Coachella that first time, and my heart is beating, like, this is
It's
what I wanted to
Coachella,
do. Like,
right?
this is a huge point for my career. But once I got on stage, and when everybody was like, hey, yeah, we've done Coachella, blah blah blah, I was feeling like, okay, so what? Okay, we've done Coachella, so what? Like, and so in that time, I see that I did not enjoy the moment of having, done something I've always wanted to do. And it took, and I would just looked around me and I was like, why is everyone so excited? Like, my team, my
Mm-hmm.
dancers were happy, the band was happy. And my girlfriend, she was asking me, she's like, what's wrong? And I was like, oh, no, nothing. So, this lockdown it has made me look back and see, to see how we need to enjoy now, because now is all we have. We're not sure of tomorrow. I'm not sure of the next second. Like, today is COVID. Tomorrow it can be something, God forbid, or there could be a bomb. There are countries where people are fighting right now. So we have to try and be in the moment more. And the second thing is just, I've found out in this time I've been more in touch with my family. And also prioritizing things and saying, oh, you get to choose everybody in your life, but you don't get to choose your family. Like, you just get born into the family. Like, you don't get to choose. So now I've had to constantly, like yesterday, this is a top secret. Yesterday I was with, because I'm the ultimate chef, I was with my mom on FaceTime, and my mom was teaching me how to cook something. Guys, my mom that taught me, I already knew how to cook it, but I was just calling my mom because I wanted her to be part of it. It's a lie. She was teaching me how to cook her special eggplant sauce. And it's helping me, appreciate family and just being the now. Also, on the larger scale, it's also waking me up. In a lot of countries, they're imposing the stay at home, stay at home, stay at home. But the sad reality is, where I come from, people cannot stay at home because they go out every day to hustle, to put food on the family's mouths. And you see, with the lockdown, crime has increased because people, I'm not saying that's an excuse, but it is what it is. People who would have gone out every day to hustle, and now they're not able to hustle, and unfortunately some are turning to crime, blah blah blah. It's just revealing the quality of leadership we've had, and also the harsh reality of what's going on in my community, and making me realize that I do have a responsibility to do my little part to make my community better. Like, I'm doing, but there's so much more I could be doing. Um, so these are some of the things. Like, now I'm here thinking, okay, how can we ensure leadership is better in the next 20 years? Like, and this is is coming in front of me. How can I play my part to make sure my local government is better? I'm not even talking about my state, my local government, my ward. How can I make sure it's better? How can I even do something now? So for instance, via my foundation, we are feeding 3,000 people. I think this weekend, 3,000 people, and then we're gonna make sure we do 10,000 people in the coming weeks. So yeah, those are basically the lessons I'd say.
We can all do so much more with our influence, with our position, and it's very important to consider that. And I think wherever we find ourselves, we can definitely do that. So somebody asked, for both of you, what is your advice for someone struggling to find their place in calling life? I'll let you go first. Easy.
Hey, me, I'm not the psychologist though. Let me read it again. What is your advice for someone struggling to find a place? I feel this is very valid, and even people who you think have already found their place and they're
There's no such thing as having it
yeah,
together,
they're still
honestly.
struggling to say, hey, what's my mission? What's my purpose? Like, you might be shocked to find out that someone who you think has it all figured out is still thinking to himself, what's my purpose in life? But what I'll say, like, this is just my opinion. So don't say, hey, Mr. Easy said this. My opinion is that purpose will find you on the journey.
I agree.
It's like, don't go out there looking for purpose. Like, just what do you have in your hand, and what can I do, like, right now with everything I have? and what am I most passionate about? What will I do if money was not a thing, and there was nothing? What is that one thing I would do? I'm passionate enough to do, or what do I even have in my mind? What in my hand? What can I do presently with what I have? And just go in and start doing it, and do it as good as you can, and purpose will reveal itself.
Yeah, and I feel like we had this conversation when we were preparing for this chat.
Yeah.
Where, I get this question a lot where people say, well, I don't know my passion, I don't know my purpose.
Yeah.
And I always say, don't chase purpose, right? Clear the space for purpose to find you.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we don't avail ourselves to the journey. And so purpose is not going to find you when you are deliberately choosing to go in the opposite direction. But to say what you said, if there's anything that if you don't know your calling, I always say this, okay? A few ways you can go about this. One, try to think through, if there's anything I could do right now where I wouldn't have to get paid for it and I could do it every single day and have energy to do it every single day. What is that thing? And go ahead and do that thing. Secondly, if you don't have something like that, I will always say this, that I believe that love is our highest purpose, and how we serve others is our highest purpose. And so if there's something you could do for someone and that brings you joy, keep doing that thing for people, and see where it leads you and see where it takes you. Because it's not enough to just have purpose. It's not enough just to have passion. You know what I mean? It's two things. It's what do I absolutely love to do, but also what am I willing to give freely?
I also wanted to say it's okay to be confused. Like, it's okay for you to say, geez, I don't fucking know what I'm doing. Like that's like perfect. That's fine. It's okay to say, it's okay to ask yourself this question. Like, a lot of people feel it's okay, like, you say, okay, so why am I? And the fact that you could ask yourself why is even a large step. And it's like, in Sunday school again, they had the story of the prodigal son who went to meet his dad and said he wanted his share of
his
inheritance, and then his dad gave it to him. And then he went on this journey and he started spending the money, and he would spend the money, he got broke and robbers robbed him, and in the end he was eating with pigs, blah blah blah. And at the point where he was eating with pigs was the time he then realized and said, wow, no, I shouldn't be here, I shouldn't be doing this, I have a father. And he corrected himself, he repented of himself at that position, and went back to his father, and his father embraced him with open arms. But what I like, the other day I was walking and I was thinking of that story, and I even took about the whole, I said, you know what, forget about him taking money from his father. And he basically, I feel a lesson from that story is that everyone has to go through a journey, and at some point in that journey they would find the purpose, because he had to go. If he never met his father and asked for that money, he would have never realized the blessing of being under the covering of his father. And there were many, and that's how it is in life. Life gives us a lot of times to realize. Like, he could have easily realized after taking that money and after the first party, he would have realized, oh no, this is what I have to do. Or his father could have said, you know what, fuck you, I'm not giving you any property, get out. Like, but he had to go through that journey. And when the robbers robbed him, he could have realized that, I've done bad and this is what I want to do. If his dad had locked him in a prison, he might have not have realized this is what he was meant to do. But he had to go through that journey. And for some people, you will find your purpose when you're in the lowest ebb, when you've lost it all, when you've at the point when you're hungry. Like, I see a lot of people. I was watching something. There's a guy in sex education, and he said he was squatting with his friends before he got the role. Like, he was in London, homeless, before he got the big role in sex education. But it might be at your lowest ebb, you would find what you're supposed to do, but it might be it might be somewhere before then. It might be after someone has disappointed you. For some people, they find purpose in jail. For some people, they find purpose when they're broke. For some people, they find purpose when something happens to somebody, or a near-death experience, or when they got fired, or when they got a job and then they realize, oh yes, this is what I'm supposed to do. So you have to trust the journey, and you just have to trust the journey and know that in the journey you would find it. And when you find it, you would know. Like, and for me, I still feel I'm still on my journey. I don't think music is the end of my journey. I just feel so strongly that this is a phase, and like it's taking me to the next, and I would find what the next step will be. And I don't know what the next step will be. I don't know what the next step will be, but I know there might be a next step, and the next step is not this present, and where I'm just, and that's what I tell myself, and it's like, yo, I'm gonna continue until I find what that next thing is, and you would know.
But isn't empawa kind of your next thing? Can we talk a little bit more about that? And like your journey with supporting other up and comers and artists and what have you.
Yeah, I started Empower born out of two things. First, I wanted to give back to the music community, and secondly, I wanted to do business. I was like, my someone I look up to in the music business is Jay-Z. Jay-Z and Diddy. Those two,
Yeah.
like the two of them, I look up to both of them, and I'm like, okay, how? Because I'm first of all an entrepreneur. Like, first off, I'm an
First of
entrepreneur.
all,
Like, I
yeah.
love the I love the journey of starting something from nothing, and pursuing it till somebody can pay to buy it, and that gives me the thrill. Not even, yeah, I love the money. The money is a reward, but the journey of from idea to profit, from idea to sales, just it just blows my mind. I can do that on and
Yeah.
on and on and on and on again. So it was two things. First, I wanted to give back to the music community, but second of all, I wanted to build a business based on my brand and based on the fact that I have achieved some level of success in the music game. And then I I personally feel there's something Jay-Z said. He said, if you feel you made Hove, okay, make another Hove. So for me, I felt if I'm someone who feels nobody made me, only God made me. I feel like the only person that can say I made Mr. Eazi is God, my mom, and my dad. Those are the people who made me. And so, but to this journey, I believe in myself, and I believe I
Yeah.
did it. And yeah, of course, I did it with the help of others, but I believe I did it like I did it. I was both the writer and the written of my destiny. And so I'm like, okay, if I believe I did this for myself, I should be able to do it for other people, and I should be able to build a business out of it. And so that's basically what I've been doing with Empower. And we thank God there's been some success story. We've given out grants that nobody, no, there's nobody that has given out. There's nobody that's giving out this amount of funding and grants to emerging artists in Africa. Nobody that I know about. But at the same time, we've been able to start a business from there. And I'm still tweaking the business, like steady. Like the recently, I was having a conversation, not a conversation, a very deep argument with someone I'm doing business with, and I was very upset with them. And I was like, oh, this person is ungrateful. This person did this and that. And then when I was speaking to my girlfriend, she's like, okay, fine, but like, what's the lesson from this? And I'm like, what do you mean, what's the lesson? You don't know how much work I put in. And she's like, what? Okay, you know what? Pause, like deep breath. What's the lesson? And so I was upset with her for even asking me that kind of thing. And I just
Right.
I just moved. But later when I was in the room and just thinking, I was like, okay, what can I learn from this to be a better business person, to avoid this kind of thing from happening? And I'm like, okay, what was the person's main issue? Like, forget about what you think you did for the person or what the person did. No, what is the main concise issue? Oh, okay, this is the issue. Okay, let me go back and make sure I correct this issue. And now it's helping me to, not even with my relationship with that person, but even it's helping deals I would give